A pickup truck's low growl pierced the crisp silence of an October evening in Raleigh, North Carolina, where the air shimmered with the scent of fallen leaves and the faint warmth of chimney smoke curling into the dusk. Marcus Reynolds, 35, a single dad with a quiet grit and a talent for fixing anything, carburetors, bicycles, broken promises, steered his silver Ford F-150 onto Maplewood Drive. It was a Thursday, the kind of night that felt safe, soft-edged. Kids weaving bikes through cul-de-sacs, neighbors rolling trash bins to the curb, a dog's bark fading into the cool air. But something was off. Can you sense it? Wherever you're joining this story, America, Vietnam, or beyond, tell me, what country are you in, and is it 7 p.m., midnight, or the early hours? Your curiosity will unravel a mystery that's about to grip Marcus tight, because this ordinary night is seconds from shattering. Marcus adjusted the worn Philadelphia Eagles cap on his head, a faded relic he clung to despite a decade away from Philly's concrete sprawl. He'd just clocked out from a grueling shift at Reynolds Auto, the shop he'd built from nothing. Long hours, busted knuckles, and a stubborn belief he could make it work. His truck, scarred with dents but polished to a shine, rolled smoothly down the suburban street, its headlights catching the glow of porch lights on tidy ranch homes. His mind was already home, picturing Riley, his 10-year-old daughter, hunched over her math homework, her braids swinging as she peppered him with questions. His sister, Lena, had promised a mac and cheese casserole, their Thursday ritual, a small anchor in a life he'd stitched together since Riley's mom left 3 years back. Raleigh had been his fresh start. Philly was all hustle and hard lessons. Corner stores, cop cars, nights dodging trouble in a neighborhood that chewed up dreams. Here it was different. Quieter, kinder, a place where folks nodded hello and kids played past dusk. After years as a mechanic in a dead-end garage up north, Marcus had gambled everything on this shop, this city, this life. He wasn't rich, bills stacked up, the truck needed shocks, but he was steady. Work hard, pay the rent, be there for Riley. That was the deal, and it held. He'd earned this corner of the world, or so he thought, until a sharp flash of red and blue exploded in his rearview mirror. The glare hit like a slap, yanking him from his thoughts. His heart thudded. Not guilt, just instinct, honed from years of knowing trouble's shadow. He glanced at the speedometer. 28 in a 30 zone. Side mirrors, taillights fine, signals blinking, truck bed empty. So why was a patrol car tailing him? Its siren letting out a short, sharp wail that carved through the night like glass. Marcus exhaled slow, hands tightening on the wheel, and signaled to pull over. "All right," he muttered, voice low. "What's this about?" For anyone who's dragged through a long day, who knows the quiet pride of a small-town life, or who's felt the world shift under them, this moment lands heavy. He killed the engine, the cab falling silent except for the faint tick of cooling metal. Philly had taught him the rules. Hands at 10 and 2, no sudden moves, eyes forward. Through the open window, the cool air brushed his face, carrying the scent of pine and asphalt. Boots crunched on gravel outside, a slow, deliberate sound. The officer's silhouette filled the side mirror, tall, broad, moving with a swagger that screamed control. A second figure lingered near the patrol car, hand hovering near a holster, as if this were a midnight bust, not a sleepy suburban street. Marcus steadied his breath, his calloused hands still, waiting for the script he knew too well. The officer reached the window, flashlight snapping on with a crisp click. Its beam sliced through the cab, over worn leather seats, a battered toolbox, a half-empty coffee cup, before locking onto Marcus's face. He squinted slightly, keeping his expression neutral, the calm he'd perfected dealing with cranky customers or Riley's tantrums. "Evening, officer," he said, voice low and even, like he was troubleshooting an engine. "Problem tonight?" The officer, buzz-cut, maybe 30, jaw clenched tight, skipped the pleasantries. "In a rush or something?" he snapped, words edged with a suspicion Marcus felt like a weight. "No, sir," Marcus replied, hands unmoving. "Just heading home to my kid. Been a long day. The flashlight lingered, sweeping his face again, the dashboard, the empty seat, like the guy was digging for something he hadn't found yet. Marcus sat rigid in his truck, the officer's flashlight still probing, its beam a silent accusation. The night felt heavier now, the cool October breeze no match for the knot tightening in his gut. He'd seen that look before, Philly cops circling, sizing him up, deciding he didn't belong, no matter how clean his hands were. The officer, nameplate reading Tate, leaned closer, his voice sharp. "You know why I stopped you?" Marcus kept his eyes forward, hands at 10 and 2. "No, sir, I don't. Wasn't speeding, 28 and a 30. Truck's in order, lights working." He paused, then added, "Got a dash cam if that helps." Tate's head snapped up, eyes narrowing like Marcus had thrown a punch. "Dash cam," he repeated, voice low, almost mocking. "Yeah," Marcus said, slow and deliberate. "Records, everything. Shows I was in my lane the whole time." Tate's jaw twitched, a flicker of something. Annoyance, maybe, or a plan unraveling. "Swerving all over," he said, words clipped, final. "Nearly clipped a mailbox. That's what I saw." Marcus frowned, his calm slipping just enough for a crease to form between his brows. "With respect, officer, that didn't happen. Been straight as an arrow. Dash cam will back me up." Tate leaned in, the flashlight swinging back to Marcus's face, blinding. "Oh, it will, huh? Step out of the truck." The command hit like a slammed door. "Step out," Marcus echoed, voice steady despite his pulse spiking. "I'm cooperating, officer. What's the problem?" Tate straightened, hand dropping to his belt near the cuffs. "I said now." The second officer, Jenkins, badge glinting, edged closer from the rear, wiry and tense, his eyes narrowed like he'd already written Marcus off. Marcus exhaled hard, reality sinking in. This wasn't a traffic stop anymore. It was a trap, one he'd felt before. Philly nights, cops stopping him for looking wrong. No reason needed. He unbuckled his seatbelt, the click loud in the quiet cab. "All right," he said, raising his hand slightly as he pushed the door open. His boots hit the gravel with a soft crunch, and he stood. 6 feet, broad from years of wrenching engines, but kept his posture loose, non-threatening. He wasn't about to give them an excuse. Jenkins moved fast, grabbing Marcus's left arm, yanking it behind his back with a force that made his shoulder burn. "Hey," Marcus said, firm but controlled. "This necessary? I'm not fighting." Tate stepped forward, flashlight clipped to his belt now, hands free and ready. "You're fighting plenty," he snapped. "Mouthing off, questioning me, that's resisting in my book." Cold metal snapped around Marcus's wrists, cuffs tight enough to bite. His stomach dropped, a mix of disbelief and a slow anger he shoved down deep. "Resisting?" he muttered, more to himself than them, as Jenkins shoved him toward the patrol car. "I've done nothing but follow orders." Tate snorted, a harsh sound that grated against the night. "Keep talking, buddy. Makes my report easier." They pushed him into the back seat, the door slamming with a thud that echoed down Maplewood Drive. Marcus sat stiffly, the vinyl seat creaking, and glanced out the window. A few porch lights flickered, curtains twitching, neighbors watching, whispering about that guy in the truck, but no one came out. In a place like Raleigh, where folks swapped stories at the diner, that silence stung. The patrol car's engine growled to life, pulling away, and Marcus's mind raced. This wasn't random. He felt it in his bones. It was targeted, personal, the kind of story he'd heard too often. Black man driving home, no record, no reason, and still cuffed. He thought of Riley, waiting with her math book, probably texting Lena by now. Where's Dad? He'd promised her 7:30. Mac and cheese night, their lifeline since her mom bailed, leaving him to rebuild Riley's world. Now it was pushing 8, and he was here, hands bound, staring at Tate's buzz-cut silhouette through the metal grate. Philly had taught him to expect this. Cops who saw you as a problem before you spoke, but Raleigh was supposed to be different. He'd bet everything on it. The shop, the house, the soccer games. Was it all a lie? Marcus's hands flexed against the cuffs, the metal pinching. He wasn't a kid anymore, not the teen who'd boosted a car at 16, paid for it with probation and shame. He was a dad, a business owner, a man who'd earned his place. But tonight, Tate and Jenkins had stripped that away, reduced him to a name on a report they'd already written in their heads. For anyone who's felt the system turn, parents juggling bills, workers chasing dreams, this was Marcus's breaking point. Trapped, but not broken. He'd find a way out. He always did. The precinct lot was a gray sprawl under flickering floodlights, a tattered flag snapping in the breeze. Jenkins yanked the patrol car door open, hauling Marcus out, gravel crunching under his boots as they marched him inside. The fluorescent glare hit hard, buzzing overhead, the air thick with stale coffee and disinfectant. Jenkins uncuffed him with a mocking flourish, like he was doing Marcus a favor. "Welcome to the Ritz," he grinned. "Get comfy. You're here till we say." Marcus rubbed his wrists, the red marks stinging. "Am I charged with something?" he asked, keeping his tone flat despite the heat rising in his chest. Tate leaned against a desk, arms crossed. "We'll figure it out, hotshot. Sit tight." They shoved him toward a cell. Gray walls, a metal bench, a single bulb casting harsh shadows. The door clanged shut, the sound bouncing off the concrete like a slammed coffin lid. Marcus sat, elbows on his knees, staring at the cracked floor. He'd built a life on hard work, 12-hour days at the shop, late nights fixing Riley's bike, helping her spell resilience for a quiz. Now he was here, caged like a thug while his kid waited, probably scared. Outside, he heard Tate and Jenkins flipping through his license. "Clean record," Jenkins said, sounding almost annoyed. "Doesn't mean squat," Tate shot back. "Guys like him always got something. We'll dig it up." Marcus's hands clenched, then relaxed. He wasn't mad, not yet. He was thinking, planning, waiting. Hours dragged, the precinct humming with noise, phones ringing, boots scuffing, a drunk yelling down the hall. Marcus replayed the stop in his head. The lights, the lies about swerving, the cuffs. He'd been calm, followed every rule, and still landed here. It wasn't random. He knew that now. It was the same story he'd heard from cousins in Philly, co-workers in Raleigh. The news, wrong place, wrong skin, wrong luck. But Marcus wasn't just a statistic. He was a fixer. Back in Philly, he'd rebuilt engines others called junk. Here, he'd turned a failing shop into a community hub, customers trusting him with their cars, their stories. This mess? Just another broken thing to solve. He leaned back, the bench cold against his spine, and thought of his mom, Rose, a nurse who'd worked doubles to keep him fed, her voice sharp but warm. "World's not fair, Marcus, but you don't stop." She'd died 2 years ago, cancer stealing her fast, and he'd vowed to make her proud. Steady job, steady dad. Riley was his proof, her laugh his fuel. He pictured her now, braids swinging as she puzzled over fractions, glancing at the clock. Guilt hit harder than the cuffs. He'd promised her normalcy, not this. A dad locked up for nothing, leaving her to wonder why. Her mom, Tanya, had left when Riley was 7, chasing a life Marcus couldn't give her. He'd filled the gap, but tonight he'd failed. Philly wasn't all bad. Summers with his cousin Dre, fixing old radios, dreaming of something bigger. But it was hard, too. Cops stopping him at 15 for looking suspicious. His mom's warnings to keep his head down. He'd touch-rayed once, boosting a car at 16, caught and shamed, but he'd clawed back. Community college, mechanics cert, a fresh start in Raleigh. This city had felt like a promise. Neighbors who waved, teachers who praised Riley's essays. But tonight, Tate and Jenkins had dragged him back to square one, where trust was a gamble he couldn't win. For anyone who's felt stuck, clocking overtime, dodging traps, this was Marcus's low. No way out, no answers, just a cell and a ticking clock. He closed his eyes, breathing slow. Philly taught him patience. Cops didn't break you unless you let them. He'd wait, watch, find the crack in this mess. Dawn was hours off, but he felt a shift, a ripple in the air. Footsteps broke his thoughts, sharp, purposeful, not Jenkins's lazy shuffle. A woman appeared at the cell door, mid-40s, stern-faced badge reading Lieutenant Carter. She carried a tablet, her presence heavy, like she owned the concrete under her feet. "Marcus Reynolds?" she asked, voice clipped but not hostile. "Yes, ma'am," he said, standing, meeting her gaze. Carter glanced at a clipboard, brow furrowing. "What's he in for?" she asked Jenkins, who'd trailed behind. "Reckless driving, resisting," he mumbled. "Picked him up on Maplewood." Carter's eyes narrowed. "Evidence?" Tate sauntered up, casual as ever. "Haven't processed it yet. Dash cam's in his truck." Carter's head snapped toward him. "You didn't check it?" Her tone was ice, and Marcus caught a flicker of unease in Tate's smirk. Lieutenant Carter stood outside Marcus's cell, her tablet glowing faintly as she scrolled, her lips pressed tight. Marcus stayed still, watching her, the air thick with possibility. Jenkins and Tate hadn't returned yet, but their absence felt like a held breath. Carter glanced up, meeting his eyes. "That dash cam," she said, voice low but direct. "You sure it's running?" Marcus nodded. "Every drive, ma'am. Habit from Philly, keeps things honest." She gave a small nod, like she understood more than she said, then turned as footsteps echoed. Jenkins, clutching a USB drive, Tate trailing with a scowl. Carter plugged the drive into her tablet, her face unreadable as the footage loaded. Marcus couldn't see it, but he knew every frame. His truck, steady at 28 mph, hands on the wheel, voice calm as Tate barked lies about swerving. The cell's silence stretched, broken only by the tablet's faint hum. Carter froze the video, rewound, played it again. Her eyes flicked to Tate, sharp as a blade. "This," she said, holding up the tablet, "shows nothing. No swerve, no mailbox, no resisting." Tate shifted, his swagger gone. "Must have missed something," he muttered. Carter's voice dropped to ice. "You missed nothing. You lied." Jenkins shrank back, but Tate doubled down, voice rising. "He was reckless, LT. I saw it." Carter stepped closer, her presence dwarfing him. "You saw what you wanted. This man's clean. Record, driving, everything." She turned to Marcus, unlocking the cell door with a swift motion. "You're out. Now." The door swung wide and Marcus stepped forward, rolling his shoulders, the night's weight still heavy but cracking. Carter hesitated, then added, "My office. We need to talk." Marcus nodded, sensing a shift, not just freedom, but something bigger. They walked down the corridor, fluorescents buzzing, the precinct quieter as dawn crept closer. Carter's office was sparse. Desk, chair, a photo of her with 2 teens, maybe her kids. She gestured for Marcus to sit, closing the door. "I'm sorry," she said, sitting across from him. "That footage contradicts the report word for word. You shouldn't be here." Marcus leaned forward, hands clasped. "Appreciate it, ma'am. But why'd it happen? I did nothing." Carter sighed, rubbing her temple. "Tate's got a history. Hothead, likes control. Jenkins follows. We'll investigate." Marcus took a breath, deciding to lay his cards down. "Ma'am, there's something else. I'm the new community liaison for Raleigh PD. Started 2 weeks ago. Quiet. To bridge gaps. Cops, residents, trust." Carter's eyes widened, then softened. "You're that Reynolds?" she said, almost a whisper. "Damn. They didn't know." Marcus shook his head. "Didn't tell him. Just wanted to get home, not make waves." Carter leaned back, respect in her gaze. "You're making waves now. Good ones." The liaison role had come out of nowhere. A city council friend, Jamal, had seen Marcus's knack for listening. Customers venting at the shop, neighbors leaning on him for advice. "You're the guy," Jamal had said. "Fix the gap between us and them." Marcus had taken it for Riley, for kids like her, so they wouldn't grow up dodging traps like he had. Now, sitting here, he saw the irony, cuffed by the system he'd vowed to mend. Carter tapped her pen, thinking. "This changes things," she said. "Tate and Jenkins, they'll face discipline, but you've got a voice. Use it." Marcus nodded, a spark flaring. The same one he'd felt rebuilding his first engine, a junked Chevy that purred again. Carter walked him out, the precinct lot pale with early light. His truck was there, towed in, and she handed him the keys. "Go see your daughter," she said. "We'll handle the rest." Marcus drove home, Raleigh waking up. Joggers, delivery vans, normal life. But normal felt fragile now, a thin veil over the truth he'd faced. He pulled into his driveway, Riley's bike leaning against the garage. Lena's car was there. She'd stayed, thank God. Inside, Riley slept on the couch, math book open, phone clutched like she'd waited for him. He knelt, brushing a braid from her face, guilt and love twisting in his chest. He'd missed their night, but he hadn't lost her or himself. The dash cam had saved him, but it was his calm, his clarity, that got him here. For anyone who's fought to be seen, parents, workers, dreamers, this was Marcus's turn. Not just out of a cell, but into a fight bigger than one night. Tate and Jenkins didn't know it, but they'd woken something in him. Raleigh was his home, and he'd make it right. For Riley, for Rose, for everyone who'd ever been trapped. Marcus stood in his kitchen, dawn's light spilling through the blinds, coffee brewing as Riley stirred on the couch. He hadn't slept. Too wired, too angry, too alive. Lena woke, bleary-eyed, and hugged him tight when he told her. "You're okay," she whispered, voice shaking. "Riley didn't sleep till midnight, kept asking for you." Marcus nodded, guilt heavy. "I'm here now," he said, but here had changed. The cuffs, the cell, Carter's words, they'd lit a fire he couldn't douse. He wasn't just a dad or a mechanic anymore. He was a voice, and Raleigh needed to hear it. By noon, word spread. Lena's texts, a neighbor's post on X, "Saw cops pull Marcus over, WTF?" His phone buzzed. "You good? Heard you got nabbed." He didn't answer yet. He needed a plan. Carter called, her tone brisk. "Tate and Jenkins are suspended. Internal reviews on. Body cam audio's ugly, Marcus. Slurs, lies, all of it." Marcus gripped the phone, jaw tight. "They'll skate," he said, not a question. Carter paused. "Not if we push. Your liaison. Call a town hall. I'll back you." He agreed, the fire flaring. This wasn't his fight alone. It was everyone's. The town hall was Saturday, a high school gym packed with faces. Neighbors, cops, kids. Riley in the front row, her eyes wide but proud. Marcus stood at the podium, no script, just truth. "Thursday night," he began, voice steady. "I was driving home to my daughter. I wasn't speeding, wasn't swerving. 2 officers stopped me, cuffed me, lied about why. I'm here because a dash cam proved them wrong, and because I'm your community liaison." The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, claps. Tate and Jenkins weren't there, but their shadow loomed. Marcus leaned forward, hands gripping the podium. "This isn't about me. It's about trust. I fixed your cars, your Fords, your Chevys, your dreams on wheels. I've coached your kids, paid my taxes, built a life. But that night, I was nothing to them. We need a system that sees us, black, white, young, old, as people, not targets." The crowd nodded, some tearing up, others whispering agreement. Riley beamed, her pride a lifeline. He went on, "Better training, real oversight, no excuses. I'm not here to burn it down. I'm here to rebuild it, with you." A cop stood in the back, cap in hand. "I'm Officer Daniels," he said, voice rough. "I don't know you, but I'm sorry. Most of us aren't like that." Marcus nodded. "I know. That's why we're talking." A teen raised her hand, voice shaky. "That could have been my brother. Thanks, Mr. Reynolds." The room clapped, and Marcus felt it, the spark from the cell, now aflame. For anyone who's felt unheard, tired of promises, craving action, this was Marcus's stand. One man, one night, one chance to shift the tide. Protests flared, not riots but marches, signs reading, "Justice for Marcus," and "Trust, not traps." The dash cam clip leaked. Carter's doing, maybe, and X exploded. Hashtags trending. Hashtag Raleigh. Reckoning. Hat Marcus matters. Marcus didn't watch much. He was meeting council members, drafting proposals, mandatory body cams, civilian review boards, de-escalation training. Carter joined him, her stern face softening. "You're good at this," she said. "Didn't plan to be," he replied, but the fire burned brighter. Riley kept him grounded. One night, she hugged him. "You're like a superhero, Dad." He laughed, ruffling her braids. "Just a guy with a wrench, kid." But her words stuck. He'd always fixed things. Her bike, her heart. Now, maybe Raleigh. His mom's voice echoed, "Don't quit." He wouldn't. The shop hummed, customers piling in. Some just to shake his hand. "Heard what you did?" a retiree said, dropping off a Chevy. "Keep fighting." Marcus nodded, grease on his hands, purpose in his chest. The fight wasn't clean. Tate's buddies spread rumors. Marcus was trouble, a showboat. He ignored them, focused on the gym, the marches, the teens who saw him as proof. Speak up, you're heard. Lena helped, organizing neighbors, baking for meetings. "Mom would have loved this," she said, eyes wet. Marcus hugged her, thinking of Riley, of Philly, of nights he'd dodged worse. He wasn't a hero, just a man who'd had enough. For anyone who's pushed back, small towns, big cities, this was Marcus's truth. Change starts messy, but it starts. The Raleigh courthouse steps swarmed with reporters, mics thrust forward, cameras flashing under a gray March sky. 5 months since Marcus's stop. Inside, the dash cam footage had played on loop. Marcus, steady at 28 mph, calm as Tate and Jenkins twisted his arm, muttered slurs, lied about swerving. When Marcus stood, revealing he was the Raleigh PD's community liaison, appointed to bridge trust, the room exploded. Gasps, shouts, Tate's smirk gone, Jenkins pale. The judge tossed the charges in minutes, but Marcus wasn't done. "This isn't over," he'd said, voice low, and the crowd felt it. A reckoning was here. Outside, a reporter yelled, "Mr. Reynolds, your thoughts?" Marcus raised a hand, silencing the chaos. "This isn't about me," he said, his hazel eyes steady, carrying Philly's scars and Raleigh's dreams. "It's accountability. I'm a dad, a mechanic, a guy who fixes cars and coaches soccer. That night, I was a target. We need a system where nobody, black, white, rich, poor, gets cuffed for living. As liaison, I'll fight for police who protect, not punish." The crowd roared. Claps, nods, pens scribbling. For anyone who's felt unseen, clocking hours, raising kids, chasing fairness, Marcus was their voice. The fallout hit hard. Tate and Jenkins fired, their body cam audio, slurs, laughs, lies, sparking outrage. Protests swelled, peaceful but loud, signs lining Raleigh's streets. No more traps. Justice now. Marcus didn't march. He worked. Town halls, late nights with Carter, pushing reforms. The council passed his proposals. Body cams mandatory, civilian boards funded, training revamped. "It's a start," he told a packed gym, Riley watching, her pride his anchor. A teen stood, voice cracking. "Could have been me, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you." Marcus smiled. "We're not done. Takes all of us." The shop hummed. Customers loyal, some new, drawn by his fight. "Heard you took on the system," a teacher said, dropping off a Toyota. "Keep it up." Marcus nodded, wrench in hand, purpose in his bones. Riley thrived, her essays now about justice, her laugh still his fuel. Lena moved closer, helping with meals, meetings, life. "Mom's smiling somewhere," she said, and Marcus felt it. Rosa's voice, "Don't quit," now his own. He wasn't a hero, just a fixer, and Raleigh was his engine, broken, but not scrap. The PD changed, slowly. New recruits trained under Carter's eye, old grudges fading. Daniels, the cop who'd spoken up, joined Marcus's board, bridging gaps. Didn't think I'd see this, he admitted. Took you, Marcus said, and they laughed, rare but real. X buzzed. Shashtat Raleigh. Reckoning trending, clips of Marcus's speeches shared. He didn't chase fame, he chased trust. One night, he told a crowd, I was cuffed for nothing. Now we're building something, together. For anyone tired of promises, small towns, big fights, this was his truth. Change is work, but it's real. Marcus's fight isn't over, ours either. What's your take? Ever faced a system that failed you or seen one voice spark change? Share below, we're listening. Want more stories like this? Subscribe, hit the bell. Let's build a world where accountability isn't a word, it's life. See you next time.